Isn't it the same one?
No, it's a completely different. What are you talking about? Is it the same one, like the restream thing? Okay. Hello, and welcome to another week of FlutterFlow Live. To everyone watching us live and in the future. Today is a special week, and we're excited for everyone who's managed to make it over here to our new community, our new home, right next door to the FlutterFlow community. And for those who haven't made it yet, well, you'll have to because we're going to be here every week now, because it's just nicer for us than than the YouTube live streams. But these recordings will still go up on the YouTube page as well. So, without further ado, we have a guest today. But I will first of all, I'm obviously Joss. I'm my co-host Dimitar, and then we have Shams from Rowi,
Hello.
is responsible for all of the smart parts of the Cloud Functions generator tool that we've been teasing that we're going to show you today. So he can take credit for all that. We take credit for all the stuff that doesn't work. And so, yeah, without further ado, if you want to kind of introduce yourself, and then maybe we'll start talking a little bit about Rowi first.
Yeah. So I'm Shams. Been building Rowi for a while now and love building tools to help people work faster and launch things. So been big fan of Flex for a while. So yeah, and then happy to help with any questions people have or anything.
So do you want to tell us like what was the actual story of Rowi? Just out of curiosity, I know like you guys were working in like weren't you working in like investments or something? It's yourself and
So
Harini, right? The two
yeah,
founders.
basically we had an open source project that was before Rowi. That was basically we had the problem. I personally had the problem where every time I had to start a new job, a part of building the product is building the internal tool. And then that part was like we needed that for that firm as well. And then we had a lot of startups that were having to do the same thing. So we're like, okay, I'm just going to build a more generic looking tool that people can fit to their solutions rather than have to rebuild this for the rest of my life. But then I'm still rebuilding it for the rest. But at least nobody else is.
And how
Yeah,
far?
less
So how long have
people.
you been? Because you switched. You used to be called what was it? It was Fire Table, right?
Yeah,
Fire
so the
Table.
original, yeah. So it's more specific to the problem of like generalizing the view of your Firestore data. And then with Rowi, we want to tackle on a bigger mission. That's why the name is more flexible, but still specific to that, like your data. And then we added like more functional features so that and try to make it more usable rather than an open source project because yeah, Firetable was more harder to set up and everything.
And so, do you want to walk us through like what is the for people who have never come across Roy before? We obviously talked about it in last week's episode, so we kind of went through some of the signups and stuff. But do you want to kind of walk us through like what are most people using it for? What are the best use cases? Like why should people who use FlutterFlow care? Because
Yeah.
there's a lot of reasons.
Yeah, so to start off with, it's the data layer. So we provide a nice looking table that has a lot of different type of fields. So you're able to edit these fields and allow different types of people to access them differently. So unlike just having the FlutterFlow CMS, which gives you access to everything through the backend, we more like give you through the security rules, so you can enforce very strict security rules when you get to a scale where you have a lot of different people on your team and you want to restrict who can see what or who can edit what. You have that with Rowi, so you start with simple and then it will grow with you. And basically that includes the different the data part and the functions part. So the functions are built on GCP and they're deployed there in your own project. So it scales. So once you your project is successful and gets huge tractions, then you don't have to worry about scaling because it's all on the GCP platform. And like your functions are, it's an open source project, so it's, yeah, so you can modify it, add extensions yourself, add new column types if you need. But yeah.
That's really cool. Because so essentially, like, it's obviously when it stops people breaking your app, right? So essentially, it allows your team members to uh, uh, do things with your, like, interact with clients, right? So some use cases. I know you have a lot here. I'm hoping I'm sharing the right tab.
No,
Am I sharing which tab am I sharing? Hopefully this
you're
one.
sharing
The playground.
The one with
no,
extensions.
Okay. So I'm not sharing
your extensions and the cloud function.
I'm never sharing the right tab. It's just a perennial problem. And that's why I normally just share my entire screen. Let's just do that instead. Because obviously here you've got, which I think is really cool, you've got this new kind of playground and a lot of different demos and tutorials and templates, right? And I think one of the ones that's most maybe interesting for people who are using FlutterFlow is something like the user management table, right? Because this is essentially a way to actually help live customer service team when you're building out your team, to give them like access to things like turning on and off paid users. I see those things, right?
Yeah. So you can, and then the idea is you can do a structure however you like. So we don't assume anything on what kind of, like, you can have your paid plan be like a drop down or a toggle to have like different options, or like even if you try to click on the subscription, I think these are action buttons that let you interact with it, and you can customize those yourself. So it's very flexible in terms of what you need, and whilst reducing the amount of code you have to write, or like the amount of work you have to do to achieve something like this.
And so these are action buttons, right? So essentially these are set up disable.
Yeah. So this one, this one doesn't have anything, but if you click on this one just has a confirmation mode. That one, I think, click on that one. That one has like options, and then if you look at the settings, you can see how it's done. So
close. Oh yeah, I remember I asked you guys for that. I was like, I want to see how they're built.
It was early, and then basically you can see like which roles you can allow, what fields, and then if you look at the confirmation step.
So this is essentially if my team, this admin role, that's a user of Rowi, meaning someone in my team, right?
Yeah, and you can show if you go back to your own Rowi, it's not here, but if you go on the Rowi app, you can show how your own workspace, and then you can the members, so you can assign them, change it, and so,
like this.
So and you can add new ones. So
take away Dimitar's access to everything.
Yeah.
So you can add a new one and make your own custom roles. So it's
So if I add a new, like, let's say we had customer service or something.
Yeah.
And then I can then go into that, I guess, and change the permissions, right?
Yes. So you can allow their access.
I broke it.
I think, no, it doesn't. You need to save. It didn't.
Oh, okay. I need to save. My bad. Done, right? Like that?
Yeah.
And then how do I edit it?
So what are you editing?
The role.
Oh, so you don't need to edit anything here. It's more of like assigning it. So if you go back to the action configuration, if it was on your table, you would be.
Okay, I understand. I don't see those.
Stuck now.
Sorry. I'm good at breaking things, and now I actually need to give Dimitar his proper permissions back. No, this is really cool. What other features? Because I feel like you guys have done a lot in the recent months that I haven't even. I use kind of still the basic stuff, which is what we talked about a lot in the last episode. And I feel like you guys have done a lot. Like I haven't played with a lot of even this stuff. Maybe it's because I haven't reached scale yet. This is really cool. I'm guessing this is sub collections, right? I know because I use this.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think maybe these are empty. But yeah, so for example, this one, you don't have access to this table. So like we didn't assign the role. So like some type of user, like in this demo user doesn't have access to the sub collection.
Yeah.
So you can enforce that very easily.
So,
so that's the thing. Yeah. 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 I mean, like if you get to our latest demos,
if I go to where? Like templates?
Like if you go to like the Stable Diffusion demo, like on the one on the top, it's already there.
The right? On the right.
Yeah.
The third one, it says Stable Diffusion.
He likes it. The same. He likes it. Yeah. So like, for example, I don't know. People, it's open, so people are. So this is using the Stable Diffusion AI model to generate prompts. So if you write something, and then run it, so it's using like an action column. And basically you can even upload a prompt image where you don't have to. You can select a style. So I think one new feature is this one. It allows you to connect to another table. So this is connecting to another table. If you go back to the AI demos.
I want to generate.
Yeah, click generate and then we can see. Click generate and then we can
I want to see the result.
Yeah. And then you can see, if you go back to the AI demos, and then if you look at the templates, so that's a separate table and it's allowing you to create that reference and then selecting things. So that's a connector field type that we added recently. And then, what else? Yeah, we can go back to that one.
Can I see my pictures? The other thing I want to talk about is webhooks for sure. Because I think people doing e-commerce and stuff, that might be really interesting.
Yeah, but first we have, because I'm waiting, but sorry to interrupt you, but first we have a question actually from one guy who is joining us. He said, is that an alternative to Firebase? Because I think he's new to Rowi, so he is not basically understanding what is actually Rowi doing. So
I can explain. Yeah, so basically Rowi is like there's a lot of alternatives for Firebase, but what we try to do is make Firebase better. So it is on top of your own Firebase project, and everything that you see on Rowi is actually stored in Firebase, and it uses all the GCP resources within the project. That helps in terms of data privacy. We don't actually manage any of the data or interact with it. It's all running within the user's project.
So to give an example, just like this project is my Firebase project with the same name. You've got these collections here. And what you have is then what Rowi calls a table is essentially a way to interact with that collection rather than having this ugly and having to click through and then find the data and then the sub collection. You have a much more graphical user interface to go in and actually look at your data and interact with it. And again, as Shem said, with scale. So it is Firebase. It's a layer on top. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then, and it's not just Firebase. It's more like the webhook implementation and stuff is more GCP infrastructure like Google Cloud, using like
I wanted to ask you about that. Because I saw that you have MariaDB. Is that the one that you were expecting to have in the future, isn't it?
So I think next our plan is to integrate Millisearch. So we have so Millisearch is for, there's a big problem with Firestore being able to search your data. So the next integration for us is going to be Millisearch, and we want to be able to host that within the user's project as well. So it will deploy the search for you and then integrate it with Rowi. And then eventually we'll try to add more databases as we see. But this is a new feature as well.
This is very. If anyone's used Airtable before out there,
so
explain how does it. I mean, if you've used Airtable, but this is pretty cool. I also do love the basic import from CSV, but this is new, right?
Yeah, so this is pretty new. It's very early. But basically we just, I think we have the docs on it, or I'm not sure. If you click on the docs, I'm not sure if the docs are up yet. But basically you can log into, it's there. You can log into your Airtable, copy the API key, and copy the the table URL, and then I think it does it all on the client side, so we still don't get your data. So it's all the browser downloads all your data and then gives it to Firestore.
That's cool.
Yeah, and then we don't end up so that's same thing with the CSV. It all goes directly to Firestore through the Firebase client. So Rowi uses the Firebase client, and then that handles all your data. Even though we're hosting the app doesn't actually
see your data, essentially, which means it's secure. Rowi can't go and look at how much money my clients have, essentially, right?
Exactly.
Without my access.
Yeah.
That's important. Are there any other? I know you've also got some other cool kind of. These are the extensions. I want to talk about webhooks, but are there any of these? Are just kind of right?
Yeah, I think we have we have more extensions, but this is just the documentation. So so I think the new one is the push notifications.
Oh yeah, how does
we add? Yeah.
I need to go in and then add extension. Yeah. This is very cool. This is, again, these are for context, a lot of what we talked about last week was obviously cloud functions, meaning doing some of the things that FlutterFlow can't necessarily do. Somebody described it, I saw on Twitter in response when I posted the teaser video, saying that cloud functions do the dirty stuff you don't want to have to do. And that's kind of a nice way of putting it. I thought it's like all that housekeeping stuff, which there is a lot of in Firebase. But so being able to be triggered by something happening without it being a user direct action, so not a user clicking a button, but just a document being created or whatever. But if you can send push notifications, this is very exciting.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a lot easier if we just like the FlutterFlow, or like the front end is a lot simpler, could be a lot simpler, and then more focused around the actual interactions, and then everything that's like logic or complex can be pushed back to on the Rowi side, because you can structure it better and reason with it better. And basically something like, you create, like if someone sends you a message on your app, you could potentially like add the message on FlutterFlow to send it to the other person. Or are you able to do that? But like if something happened where like there's a webhook that came in, that means like your delivery has arrived or something.
Exactly.
You can't do that on FlutterFlow. So you'd be able to do that with a cloud function. And here you can basically just configure it to do exactly that. So you can add like the title, the body, and like notification images and stuff. And then, so I think if you scroll down, this one is doing topic, but it basically takes I think we'll add more documentation. That's why it's not documented yet. But basically it just needs a FCM token. And that's like, the same way I think how FlutterFlow does it. You just need to store somewhere on your database, And then
Yeah, it's the
similarly,
same way.
Yeah.
yeah,
I can give an example
but
here, just to show users. And Dimitar, this sounds like a great template for us to build. But
Yes.
yeah, so in each of your users' documents, there should be, if they've registered. Let me
Yeah, you have to add that probably.
no, or is it?
If you
Whoops, sorry.
if you actually use the web version of FlutterFlow, this will not create this token. So the token is only created when you use an Android or iOS device, right?
Yeah, exactly. So when you here's an example. So this, I probably shouldn't be showing this person's FCM token. Maybe it's secure, but we'll just do it quickly. For each of the users in your user collection, if they've essentially accepted the permissions on a physical device, they'll have these tokens. And so those are what you can use then with a backend like Rowi to actually trigger those notifications, not just from within the FlutterFlow interface where you can use it as an action. And again, when someone actively does something, so if they're sending a message or something, but to actually, as like Shams was saying, if their order status changes in the back end or a webhook comes in from Stripe or something like that, to then actively change to send them a push notification from that, which I think is super cool.
Yeah. So like we can talk about webhooks now in terms of how important they are.
I've only done a few. Yeah. For starters, how about Dimitar? Can you explain to our viewers what a webhook is? Because some people may not know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm the right
demo.
guy.
I think it'll be best to show a demo. If we go back to the image, the
thing I was on before, right here.
Yeah.
Not this. Where was I? How do I get to the tutorial? Oh, tutorials, right?
It's in the demo. No, it's in the demo app.
Okay.
So if you go back to the demo app, demo.rowi.io. Yeah.
Logically, it may seem like it would be better if you were sharing your screen. Some people might be thinking, but it's better to watch me fumble around. At least
because I can be faking it, and then you would not. It's more genuine. So honest.
So which demo do you want?
If we go back to the Stable Diffusion demo, same one.
Diffusion demo. You love this one, don't you? I can tell.
No, we're gonna because we keep getting distracted. I think we're gonna work.
Welcome to my world.
So basically, the way it works is webhooks. Like when you're if we click on why is it? You have too many tabs open.
I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, I can close some of these if you want. Close tabs.
Why is this so slow? Oh no, he closed the wrong one.
He's gone now for some reason.
Closed the wrong one. Okay.
Maybe he's coming back.
I can present.
Yeah, if you can, or I can present.
Let me do it. Okay.
He's coming back actually.
One of those tabs was this wall. It did not work. This is why I don't close tabs. Okay, let's try this again. So going back to the demos, which I do still have open here, and sync
diffusion. So if we look at the click to generate function action.
Yep.
Yeah. So this is an example. Yeah, if you open it, this is an example of doing like a API call. So if we go to the action section, so the confirmation section asks you like we did before. So this one you can configure it. I've configured it to ask, do you want multiple samples or not? So that's a part of the prompt. That's how you get the checkbox. But mainly the action. If you expand that view.
Here, right?
Yeah, that one. So basically, it's doing an API call. So API call is when you're doing like if you look at line 21, and it's doing a fetch. So the fetch is the function for calling an external API. And what we're doing here is we're calling it, and then we're passing in the request body. So on like line 22, there's like a request body, and the request body, if you see, it's defined on top. So that's a request that we're defining. And then on line 13, we're like the webhook completed. So webhooks is like for when we want to talk to another service, we do an API call. But when we want to ask another service to call us back, we give them a webhook URL. So in this example,
it's like a notification for servers, right?
Yeah. So this is like the endpoint where, so basically when you finish making the image, call me on this URL, and then so it's important for us to be able to receive those things. So basically, if you close that, so this URL is coming from the Rowi hooks. So if you close that, and then if you go to the webhooks, we can see here there's like two replicate. Replicate is the API that we're using to use the machine learning models, and then these are the logs for.
Sorry, that was me getting distracted. I just wanted to see what it was, but sorry. This is webhooks you were saying, and these are the two different webhooks.
So this is the Stable Diffusion one, and that's the same one that we gave it in the request. When you're done with this request, send me the results to that. And then if you click on the edit button, you can see how you can add verification, and there's this is important when you're doing something like a Stripe integration. And you care that you want to have, because the URL, anyone can call it if they know what it is. And you don't want to have, when something is important, like a payment successful, you don't want it to be user actually sending you a fake payment successful.
I was just doing that for a client with crypto payments, because obviously the crypto transactions take a while, and obviously you have to have something hooked up. But exactly. You don't want to handle duplicate requests and end up crediting them twice as much or whatever.
So you're saying if this webhook doesn't have a verification, anyone can use it, right? If they know the
if they know the URL, which we don't make that easy. So just by default, the URL is random key, so it's not. And this is so this is not this is the basic webhook. So currently, if we can go through the, if you close that one, you can add the webhook. We have the Stripe one, which, so if you click on enable verification, you can pass in the secret key and the signing key.
Stripe.
And then that basically is a big pain point when you're trying to trying to write a cloud function to verify the secrets and everything. And but everyone does it the same way. So we just abstract that part away. You don't have you don't have to do it. But for the parsing and what you do when that happens, you can handle it yourself, and you write the function, or you can use flexperts to generate the function.
Nice little transition.
This is very cool. We believe in having everything be open and flexible to whatever people need to use it, but still be simple and accessible for people, so you don't have to deploy anything yourself or run anything in the terminal and all those things that trip a lot of people up, especially when you're starting out.
Yeah, I have to say that was the thing that I remember when I contacted. I think it was the basic contact when I first found when you were Firetable. Firetable. I was just so excited because normally to deploy cloud functions, you have to. And I mean, I've used Linux before. I don't mind the command line. I just objected to the fact that I had to install Firebase command tools and stuff like that. For all that Firebase is really easy for stuff. That initial hurdle, for me at least, was a real challenge. And so having Rowi to deploy all my backend stuff has been a lifesaver, really. And
it just limits what you can break so that you can actually be successful. So you can, you're not allowed to shoot yourself in the foot.
I also love some of these other ones like translations and stuff. I highly recommend to people go definitely check out this. In terms of the setup process, if you watch our last live stream, I don't know if there's anything you wanted to add there, Shams, on that, but it's pretty straightforward, and we kind of covered it.
Yeah, I think the demos are a good resource for learning as well. So if you want to learn like, oh, how do I do this? If you look at the demos, we try to add more and more to just give more examples of how it's used or what you can use it for. For example, the Webflow example is I think it's very important because like Webflow charges a ridiculous amount of money for like if you were to use it, but it doesn't really cost that much. That's why allowing you to use your own cloud resources directly is a lot more.
This is really cool. Every app needs a landing page, and you're going to want to start collecting forms. And
it's just a webhook. So if you click on the webhooks, I think you'll see, you'll see it's a web form webhook.
So essentially, this is every time a form is created, right?
Yeah. Exactly. And basically just adds the form data in. So yeah.
For me, the really cool part about this as well is that if you're, for instance, if you have your form on Webflow, it means you're already keeping everything in your same database. If you're using Firebase for, Rowi and Firebase, it means you're not having your data, your analytics data, for instance, about where that person came from. If they clicked on an ad or something and they're coming into your system, they're then subscribing on a form. It means you've already got their data. At least for me, I find this very helpful to have it right there. If they then continue to click on something, maybe in an email that we send them afterwards, and you can kind of, I think with having Rowi on top of Firebase, it means that your app, your kind of your CRM or whatever, you can make it all in one, and that's really cool, I think.
Yeah, and we have a tutorial on how to implement this as well. On the docs.
Be quiet. Do you have any questions?
Yes.
That you'd like to ask Shams? I've interrogated him for quite a while now.
You're asking me if I have any questions? I have a lot of questions, but I don't want to. I don't know what time we have left, so
we've got you can go ahead and ask, and then I'll pull up also the demo that we're going to do.
Yeah, I wanted to ask if because we have some users that join us, or the ones that will watch this live. We watch this after that in YouTube. So what is your best advice of people who wants to come from FlutterFlow and Firebase? Where do they get started using Rowi? What do you think it's the best resource to just look at the docs, or what do you think they should do best to get the most advantage of the platform?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people learn different ways. So we do have the docs, we have the demos. I prefer looking at demos and try to copy or modify. And like with just playing around with on Rowi directly itself, we try to reduce that barrier as well, so you can experiment and learn quickly.
Okay, great. And I don't know, Josh, what do you think? Do you think now is the time to show what we'll be working for?
Exactly. How about, do you want me to present and you can talk people through it, or you want to do vice versa? It's your choice.
I will present and you can talk.
Okay. Like always. Yeah. That's my job as the idiot in this group. I feel very outnumbered this week. Normally it's like 1-to-1. Now it's 2 developers who know what they're talking about, and then me. But yeah.
But you as a native speaker, I think you're the one who needs to talk, right?
I think it just means I talk more. I don't think it means I talk better. But yeah. So what we have been teasing you this week, and what we have created with Rowi's approval and enthusiastic endorsement, I would say, is a tool to make some of that stuff a little bit easier. And again, to kind of plug for right now some of the things that FlutterFlow doesn't do, those kind of background cloud functions especially. And what we wanted to do is to provide a nice little handover and a way that you can create those cloud functions even if you don't necessarily know about JavaScript. So you can use Rowi. One of the kind of first templates in the onboarding process, which we will be releasing shortly in the next few days or so, kind of a guided tutorial of it. But essentially, the first thing you would be doing is going and connecting your Firebase to the Rowi platform and getting that set up. It's very easy to do. We showed that in our last thing, as I said, last.
Yeah, exactly. We showed that not in the last, but I think two live streams after that, right?
Oh, maybe. And so once you've gone ahead and done that, though, and you've got your Rowi tables for each of your collections and stuff, what we've put together is a way that you can actually import your Firebase setup from FlutterFlow. And the way that this would work is, I'm actually going to delete all of your stuff here, Dimitar. I'm just going to clear remotely so that we can do a nice little fresh load. What we've done here is built a way. So whatever you have set up in your FlutterFlow app, which obviously knows about all of your collections and all of your field types, what we want to do is to provide you a way to import that into our tool, which will then allow you to use that same kind of configuration setup to actually generate your Cloud Function code without code. So hopefully now you are seeing your collections have disappeared, Dimitar.
Yeah, it should. I just wanted to show the people where they should click to download the zip file.
Oh yeah, that would be great. Let's do that.
Yeah. So if you open your project and you click on this icon, it's the developer menu actually, and you have the view code, connect to GitHub, and download code. So if you just click this button, download code, you download the zip file of your project. And then when you're done, you can just go through the steps after that. I don't have anything right now, so it's successfully deleted.
Okay, so what we can do here is on the top right, you will see this update button here. If you go ahead and click on that and then find with your file picker your little, I think it hasn't shown that on screen share, but essentially you'll be able to select your zip file. And once you do that, what you will see is like magic, your collections will start to appear in this tool here. And if you click through on one of those, what you'll also see is that we've gone ahead and grabbed all your fields that you had set up in your FlutterFlow project. We need to do a little bit of cleanup on here, but we try to kind of get the type as well. And what we're going to be doing in future is essentially using that to only allow you to build functions that you can actually build. Make sure you're selecting the right kind of fields for whatever the template of function you're trying to build is. Similarly, you can see also on the right of the fields, there's this little option. For right now, if your field type is a list, you need to be selecting this manually and toggling it on and off. And then again, we'll be able to use that to actually only allow you to use or to change how the template works, essentially, with regards to whether what's in your Firebase is a list or not. You can also, you don't need to re-upload your entire thing. You can use this plus buttons on the collections and also the fields to actually manually create a collection. When you manually create a collection, you can also already specify if it's a sub collection, at which point it's going to give you the option to select the parent collection. So this is obviously, it's not the prettiest maybe, and it's something we're going to keep working to improve, but at least we're hoping that we're getting on the right steps here. So shall we find a template, Dimitar?
Yeah.
As of today, we have 2 templates, but the way we built things means that these templates are actually really easy for us to write now. And so on the left, you will see this request a template button. And we would definitely, on the left hand of the menu, which we would invite people to use liberally. Please do try to describe specifically what you want. And hopefully when you see the generator, how it works, you will have a better idea of how it would be good to describe what you want a Cloud Function to do. And we'll do our best to keep up with those and be adding new templates each week. This top part just kind of is a little overview that may or may not get deleted soon from the interface, but we'll see. For right now, it's just a little overview for someone who doesn't know what Cloud Function is. So if you go ahead and select one of the templates that we have.
Which one should you? I think the sync one.
Yeah, we can do the sync value. So there's a little description there. What the sync value template essentially does is say you have a wallets collection and a users collection. And in your wallets document, you have a balance. And you also want to not get that wallet document every single time you want to display to your user their balance in FlutterFlow. You want to use the authenticated user and just get that field. Obviously, normally it would be incredibly unreliable to try to always update those every time a transaction's coming in. Plus, it may not be an action by your user. So what the sync value would allow you to do is actually every time that balance is updated, could be by another user, could be by your user making a transaction, to actually then go and get a specific user document based on contents of that wallet's document and update the balance field in that user document so that they remain in sync. Hopefully that makes sense. I don't know if there's any questions in there or not, but
you can check the questions.
I can. Hi, Tarlan. So if I now close this, so the way the tool works, first of all, what you're doing is every Rowi extension, as you saw, needs to be installed in one of your tables. For simplicity, we're assuming here that you have one table per collection. I know, in fact, in Rowi, you can have multiple tables per Firebase collection. But for simplicity, what we have here is that every time if you want to select an option there, this will give you the list of your collections. So if we were going to do, I'm not sure which project this is, but let's try whichever one you want, really. We'll see how much sense this makes.
Probably worse.
Actually, let's, sorry, can you actually do like every time a user? That'll give us the most flexibility. I'm trying to think which, so let's say that every time a user's is updated. So this means that every time a user's document is updated, then
because here we have created, updated, and deleted, right?
Exactly.
But in this case, we have only updated because we're only syncing things.
Exactly. So each of these templates will allow you to choose the triggers depending on what it supports. And basically this reads through like a sentence. So you just need to fill in the blanks. So for instance, so this says every time a user's document is updated, get a document in the, let's pick one, reviews. Let's pick one at random.
Yep.
Get a document in the reviews collection where the field is, let's choose user.
Yes.
Is equal to, and then this is the value from the original field. So what we're going to be choosing here is essentially the reference, which should be there.
Which one?
Is there a reference field? Yeah, ref.
Yes.
So that's the user reference in the user document. So essentially what you're finding here is a reviews document where the user is the one who's been updated. And then what we want to do is update the field in the document. So that's meaning the document in the reviews. So let's say update the field comment or something. This example is not the most logical one. Update the comments field to match the value. And then this is from the original document that was updated. So from the users, we could do it to their name or email, let's say.
Email, yeah.
This is obviously not necessarily one that makes sense, but we'll see. But it doesn't matter. The code will still be generated correctly. So if you hit generate code there, what you are going to find is your cloud function has been written for you. This is exactly what you need to copy and paste into the Rowi interface. If you've connected with Rowi, you will be able to use this nice green button at the bottom right here, and it will actually open the correct table for you in order that you can copy and paste it.
Yeah. Can you do the Rowi part? Is that okay?
Yeah, sure. Sorry, did you have something, Shams, to add?
No, I want to see the button. That's a cool button. My favorite button.
My guess is that I think Dimitar, because he's using a demo account, doesn't actually have Rowi hooked up yet.
Yeah, exactly.
But I do. So I will switch. And we can go, you can walk us through the counter collection, the counted one too, which is another one that's popular.
Yeah, exactly.
And maybe we'll make more sense. We'll see. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show this real quick. I hope I'm sharing the screen.
Yeah, you are.
So I'm going to make sure this one actually makes a little bit more sense. Bring my user document, update the bloop. So that's fine. And then we'll have a second collection, which we're going to call, this is if you wanted to have like I always do a counters collection, meaning that every document in this is a counter that has a name. For instance, the name of the counter might be new users, and it will be a string value. And then each counter also has a value. for that counter. So you can have 10 different counters, keeping track of different things in the background without you having to kind of do anything. So in this setup, if I now go to my templates and I choose the counter, and then every time a user's document is created, get a document in the counters collection where the field name is equal to, and let's say new users, because that's what has been created. A new user has been created. Then update the field in the document, meaning the counters document. So update the value in this direction +1. And if I go—
Sorry, Josh, you said new user or new users?
New, the field name was new users.
Okay.
Why?
No, I was just wondering if it's new users or new user.
Oh,
Okay.
we have a bug. Why can I not select?
No, it's not a bug. It's you wrote new users. I was thinking that it's new user.
Oh, okay,
but you can actually show this if you close this button. You can show that you can really easily how you can edit it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Just write, yeah.
New user like that?
Yeah, exactly. And you can generate code and
whatever your field value is. So I've generated that. I pressed the Rowi button. I already copied and pasted it. And it's going to take me directly to the table where I need to install this. And so at this point, all I need to now do is add new extension with the same trigger, created, go to the extension body, and I can just select everything in here and replace it. So all this code, delete, paste my code, and Shams helpfully said you can format it, which I didn't know. So you can actually format it.
It's still only still intent.
And then you would just do, you also need to activate it here and then save and deploy. And
I wanted to ask Shams why it's not activated by default. I mean, is there a reason for that, or?
Yeah, I think it's like it's safer that way. I think maybe it is confusing, but it's just sometimes you want to edit things and make sure that they're ready before. Like you want to, especially if it's more complicated, you want to be able to, like save it. Before.
Yeah, that makes sense, because if you change something and then you didn't finish your coding, for example, you just save it and then it'd be auto enabled, and you go to another page and deploy from there. You're wondering what is going on, right? So this is the logic. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, but don't forget to enable, because last time when we were showing Rowi with Josh, we forget to enable the cloud function. I was wondering why it's not running. So
maybe it needs to be better, like to show you that you need to save it. Yeah, because for derivatives, we do actually, when you say that we ask you if you want to deploy. But because
and some other things like setting default values on columns. So I'm not sure. We've gone through that obviously very quickly. I'm not sure if any questions came up, but hopefully that all made sense. If not, you can write to us and shall we show off the community? As I said, we've moved in next door to FlutterFlow. So if you are familiar and you use the normal community.flutterflow.io, you can actually, with community.flexperts.dev, which has been in a lot of the links we've been sending you, there's also on our website, you will be able to actually use your same login to come over to here. Our community is not designed to replace the FlutterFlow community. I should not stress that enough. This is a place where, for something slightly different, is where we're going to provide, essentially, we'll be hosting the live streams from here. There's also this live stream Q&A. If you want us to be covering things beforehand, pop them in this. It's more like a chat than a thread. We will try to get to them, as many of them as possible. You will also find access to, these are all of our experts. There's Dimitar, myself, John, who is our Webflow design guy. If you like how our stuff looks, he's the guy who makes it all possible. Irina is our social media marketing expert. And then David is our OG developer with If you need some hardcore custom widgets and stuff, you can book time with any one of us with a one-to-one directly through Calendly. And for right now, for this next week, it will be, you can get a 7-day, well, forever, you will be able to have a 7-day free trial of this stuff. We won't implement the paywall on the Cloud Functions Builder until we've cleaned it up a little bit. So you've got kind of the next week to try it for free, play it around, try and break it, tell us what breaks, we'll fix it. And yeah, we're also going to be running workshops. So we got a few already scheduled here. One on building a perfect Webflow landing page, and then one that Dimitar is running on the 9th about APIs. These will be smaller little workshops where you can RSVP. You have a chance more to actually ask and get kind of custom stuff. Obviously, the videos will be recorded and available for members, and our membership will be $10 a month, which we think is hopefully reasonable and something that people are excited about, because we are, and we are excited to keep building out these cloud functions. So yeah, I'm kind of
What
done.
flavor do you vaping, Josh? It's
What?
one of the questions, the last question.
What was it?
What flavor you
Don't tell
vaping?
my mother. It's it's blueberry. Just good question. Good question. As you saw, the function did deploy successfully. So you'll see this, but once you hit deploy, you can go. You don't need to do anything else, and it will start working in the background. And this is the moment of truth. I'm not sure if I set up my collections correctly, but I think, because I'm like, I can just create someone. Let's see if it happens. Let's see. We'll take the plunge. I'm not sure if I named everything right when I was doing that really quickly, but theoretically, if I did name everything correctly, then that counter
24
should be 24.
24. No,
I think I named it wrong in the, what did I call it? New users or new users?
Yeah, new users. I think you call it new users.
oh no.
Oh, it's also because it should be named because new. This is what happened. This is why we let you sync your collections and not do stuff manually like I did. And then also the value should be value, and it shouldn't be counter value. Try one more time. Otherwise, it's just going to get embarrassing. But
Yeah.
we'll see. It does work. We know. We deployed it.
Yeah.
But you have to actually have the right collection set up. Boom!
Yeah.
One user. It works. I'm a little bit surprised, but not gonna lie. And boom, there's 2. Done. We have a new user.
You can delete the old ones because, yeah. But yeah.
Oh, I just like to leave the mess. I know it annoys you. That's why. Cool. Well, we are wrapping up. I think actually wrong schedule for once. Unless there are any final questions that I've missed, apart from the one I'm vaping. But,
No, I think you didn't.
Cool. Well, I hope that was helpful. And any last words, Shams, Dimitar?
Yeah, I just wanted to tell you because I don't think we mentioned how the people can access when we are done, are we sending the link or what we are planning to do.
If you go to community. It was in the email I blasted out to everybody today. But if you go to community.flexperts.dev, you can join the community, and from there is a link in the sidebar to the Cloud Functions Builder. So down here, Cloud Functions Builder.
So it's live?
It will be as soon as I change where this link points you. But right now it points you to get access. After this call, I'll update this link and it will direct you to the actual live version so you can start trying to break it.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
Exactly.
All
yeah,
right.
so Shams, do you want to say something to wrap up, or?
I'm really excited about the function builder. I think it's a very cool idea. Yeah, I think it does serve a lot of, it's a good use case, especially if you're able to provide more and more templates. I think it's like the demos we have where just want to help people get started and do what they need to do quickly.
We're like, it's like the dealer giving the first hit for free. You can have the first cloud for free, but if you really want to get deep into the world of Rowi, hopefully there's no kids watching. Don't do that. All righty. Well, thank you for joining us. And yeah, we will see everybody
Thanks,
next week back here. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah, take care.